Alright, good afternoon y'all. Welcome back to Panama City. It is Sunday afternoon. My wife and I decided to come out here this afternoon and see if we could catch a couple of red snapper for dinner. And maybe a grouper, although the grouper's been tough. But we didn't even get out here until afternoon. So we just pulled up on our first spot. Actually eating lunch right now. But I'm about to start chumming, and for red snapper it becomes very, very important this time of the year. I could drop a bait over the side with a weight on it and I may or may not get a bite. But if I chum and then float a bait with the chum with no weight on it, I'll catch fish. And that's how we finished up the day yesterday. That's how we caught all of our fish yesterday. But we finished up our day right here yesterday. We caught 3 keepers, threw 2 of them back. The one that we kept filled our 6 fish limit for the day yesterday. And so we're on a place that's got fish on it, and so we're going to chum them and see if we can catch some.
Maybe not. Not real big.
Now we're using the 5000 series rod with 30-pound braid and a 6/0 hook. I just got bit. Oh, a little bit better.
Oh man, he was pooing.
There's one. Thank you.
Well, he was pooing. I think he's big enough. You want to keep him? Well, measure him, and if he's not at least 18, I don't want to keep him. We can catch something bigger. Yours is, to me, looks redder. Have you tried to get off that flatboard?
That's it.
Oh yeah, I can see him.
He's 17, so I'll throw him
Okay,
back.
throw him back. I think I just got robbed. I could see him. Yeah, there they are. I can see him literally hitting the bait and going on by it.
Alright, this one's just a little over 18, so we'll keep him. He'll be dinner tonight.
Yeah. Do you see all the jellyfish?
Yeah.
Somebody was, oh, I think it was. I'll tell you in a minute when you can hear me. Oh man!
So what we were fishing was a drop off or a ledge. It's just a change in the elevation of the bottom, so change in depth. And anytime there's a change in depth in salt water, it's just like fresh water. It has the potential to hold fish. And that's what we're fishing. This is a point, and we're fishing at the edge of the point where it comes out and it drops off. And it wasn't a big drop. It was probably 1.5 feet. Out here on the end of it, it drops off steeper and a lot more elevation change. It goes from 12 feet to about 24 feet. So about 12 foot of change. It's where the current washes it. So that's why it's a sharper drop. Back where we were fishing, wasn't a sharp drop. But depending on the tide will determine whether the fish are going to be down at the bottom or if they're going to be suspended, or sometimes they'll be at the top. So you got to learn to read your bottom machine to figure out where it is that you need to be fishing. But all of the points out here in Panama City are very similar. They're very shallow on top, and then they fall off on both sides. And I've got several of them down through there that I'll pull up on and catch mangrove snapper, lane snapper, black sea bass, flounder. Usually don't catch flounder this time of the year. They started moving back offshore because the water temperature's under 70. But occasionally catch small red snapper. I've never caught keeper red snapper on any of the other ones down through there. This one right here, I catch a few every once in a while. Although last year I pulled up on here with Michelle, my mother and father, my sister and brother-in-law, and my sister's grandson. So there was 7 of us on the boat, and only 5 people fishing. But we had a 5-person limit, 10 fish, in less than an hour. They were just stacked up there, and it was, perfect conditions, the right tide. First thing in the morning, when I say first thing, it was probably 9:30. Because some of the people that wanted to come fishing wanted to eat breakfast first, and my wife doesn't fix breakfast, so.
I think that's close. They just ate slow.
But I give my father a hard time because he has to eat all 3 meals whether he's hungry or not. He says, I don't eat because I'm hungry, I eat because it's time. So we give him a hard time. Then I passed my spot that I want to fish. Catch them out here. This is where I caught that 18-inch red grouper earlier this year, but the season was closed. And they got to be 20 anyway to keep them. But that's the biggest red grouper that I've caught in this bay system. I don't doubt that there's people that catch big red grouper in this bay. But the 18-inch that I caught was the biggest one that I've ever caught. They were in season when I caught it, but he wasn't big enough. They got to be 20 inches to keep them. So, well, the trolling motor's got us sitting, but it's got to sitting sideways. So we must have an outgoing tide with an incoming wind. Puts us sideways to where I want to be. So I'm using a 5,000 series reel. This is my Cadence 5000 stout. It does have 30-pound Power Pro braid, 50-pound Berkeley trilene, monofilament leader, big game. Got a 6/0 hook and a 3/4 ounce sinker. I got a piece of cut cigar minnow, about 2.5 inches long on it. So on the back I've got, on my 100-pound rod, I've got a Menhaden, about 4.5, 5-inch long Menhaden. I'm hoping to catch a grouper. It's got an 8/0 hook on it. All of my hooks are Mustad Demon Perfect Circle. Some of them are 1X and some of them are 3X. I do have a few 2X, but for the most part I use either 1X or 3X, and all that is how thick the hook is. So a 5/0 1X hook is a wire hook, and it's fairly thin. And it's perfect for most snapper and and you know, fish of that nature. And I've got 5/0 3X that are much heavier, and I use them for snapper as well, but it's a much bigger round hook. The physical size of the hook is the same, but it has more diameter on it. So the bigger snapper that Michelle caught a little while ago was on that 100-pound rod with a threadfin shad about that long. We get threadfin shad up in here, seems like in the wintertime mostly, or that's when I see them most of the time. And I'll catch them out here on the pipeline with a sabiki rig. They're 12, 13 inches long. They're really, really big. Hadn't figured out how to use them for bait live, but I can cut them up into chunks and use them for chunk bait, or cut bait, or chum. So that one ate a whole threadfin shad. This is a Stout 4000. I've got 20-pound Power Pro braid on it and 30-pound Berkeley Trilane big game leader. I don't use fluorocarbon. I don't see the need for it. Got hung in the bottom when I dropped down. But I've got a 3/4 ounce weight and a 1/0 Mustad Perfect Circle Demon hook. And I'm using little pieces of squid. And what I'm hoping to catch is lane snapper or mangrove snapper. So far the last 2 fish I've caught have been ruby red lips grunts. I don't mind catching them. I got cigar minnow on the other rod, on this rod. That's a little better fish. A little red snapper. You can catch red snapper on small bait. That one's probably 13 or 14 inches, not a very big fish. If you got little people that just want to get their string stretched, you know, come out here on the pipeline, find the pipeline. Typically I do better on the smaller fish in that 30 to 40 foot range. We're in 57 feet right here. I'm still catching them. It just takes longer to get to the bottom. And since we don't have a lot of current today, I don't have to worry about, you know, how much weight I've got on it. I mean, literally 3/4 of an ounce, and I'm straight up and down. And I can catch sharks doing this. I can catch snapper and grouper, and I mean, there's all kind of fish out here. Every once in a while, you'll catch one of those rays. They're very difficult to get to the boat. But as I've said before, this is the biggest structure feature that we've got in the whole bay system. We're in East Bay. There's another one over in the west end of St. Andrews Bay over there by the Hathaway Bridge. It's not as deep as this one is, and I like the depth of this one for trying to catch grouper. But a lot of people fish this. Today there's nobody sitting out here, but it's Sunday afternoon and 2:30. Most people have already gone home. We didn't even come out here until lunchtime. And we've caught 3 keeper red snapper. We've only kept 2, but we have caught 3 keepers. But really, we don't need any more snapper in the freezer. We got several pounds of it. What I want is a grouper. And I'll keep doing this, and hopefully we'll catch some this year. Season doesn't end until the end of December 31st. By then there will be hardly nobody on the water. But the state of Florida and probably Alabama, Mississippi, Louisiana, Georgia, or Texas. I know Georgia is. But you have to use circle hooks if you're fishing for reef fish. So if you're fishing for snapper, grouper, any of those reef type fish, you have to use a circle hook. You have no choice.
Just all that and
a little grunt, ruby.
oh, that's very talk already, honey. Another one of those little ones.
Yeah, more likely. A little lane snapper.
Huh. He is kind of little though. That had to be 8. I don't think he's that big.
I don't know. We're going to find out. They're a little lane snapper. Pretty little fish. They have to be 8 inches to keep them. You can keep 100 pounds. So he's 8.5, so he's a legal fish. But as you can see, he's not very big. We got 2 nice red snapper. We're having fish tacos for dinner. If I could catch a couple of 14 or 15 inch mangroves or lanes, they would be our taco
The lanes
dinner.
are prettier.
Huh?
The lanes are prettier.
Yeah, they are. But I'm getting bit as soon as it hits the bottom. And a little bit bigger lane. This one's probably close to 10. But they are among our prettiest of snappers. They do have teeth, but they're not terribly sharp. It's a pretty little snapper. Got yellow
and
fins.
pink.
I don't see pink, so it's...
His tail fin is pink.
Oh, I'm sorry. His tail fin is
And he's
pink.
kind of got a little bit of pink on his dorsal fin
Okay.
at the top.
But they're
Maybe it's yellow.
a very good eating fish. But my wife tells me I don't need to keep one. You keep talking.
If we take that off, could I not put a soap dispenser pump there?
Yeah.
I thought one time you told me I couldn't.
Oh, I don't think so.
And I couldn't figure out why you told me
Never
that.
grunt. Well, it'd have to fit the hole. Well, she doesn't cook
Oh,
like
yeah.
we do.
No, but she washes her dishes before she puts them in the dishwasher. I mean, literally washes them. What is that one?
That little grunt. That little ruby red grunt. Another little ruby. A little bit bigger ruby. So that one would be a good one to take home and eat. These aren't big fish, but they're a lot of fun to catch. Typically I've got my 3000 cadence on my inshore, or I'm sorry, my freshwater rod, and it has a little bit more flex to it. Even though it's a medium heavy, it's a medium heavy freshwater. So the action's a little bit different than these, which is the same size and style, but this is a inshore saltwater, so it's got a little bit more backbone. But they're a lot of fun on 15-pound line.
go away.
All my bait's gone. Who got my bait out?
Just waiting this one in the water until you come up here to get him. It's not suffocating.
Take him off the hook. I did have a bite on my big rod, but he ate the bait.